Okay, moving on. Since we were just talking about Andy Muschietti and his interview with this radio, Andy Muschietti has been making a lot. Has been doing a lot of interviews at different Spanish podcasts, talking to Storm about Batman. And okay, this is where we can start speculating and going crazy. So one of the first interviews he did, he was letting it know that his Batman movie, Brave and the Bold, is a little delayed. And remember, Andy Muschietti has also been the director of The Flash, and it was The Flash being good, or, that's subjective. I like The Flash. Some people have now turned on that movie, and hey, I don't blame you. Don't support Ezra Miller, so I get it. But I actually didn't mind the movie. I thought it was fun. But James Gunn loved it, so much so that he's like, here are the keys to Batman. Do good, my child. Do good. And well, he said in a different podcast that, the movie's been a bit delayed. And now he's on another podcast where he got into more detail about it. So let me see if I can find the article again. Because I was just doing it, reading it into here. Now, the other thing that sucks about this is it's translated from Spanish. And that's why I was trying to find the exact part. Since I speak Spanish, I would know the exact context and the meaning and not just the direct translation that could be off a little bit, that could maybe not be exactly what he meant. But reading the translated words, he said here, as everyone knows, the Batman featured in Brave and the Bold will belong to the new DC universe. It's quite obvious that Matt Reeves' Batman is not part of this new universe. However, DC Warner Brothers are moving forward with the second part of the Reeves Batman series, which, as widely reported, is expected to release around 2027. This means the next Batman movie will take some time before it sees the light of day. Okay, pausing there before we continue on any more. So he's saying, he's like, obviously, I got this Batman movie. They're doing that. He's not going to be the Batman of the DCU. And, people were taking that as the confirmation because we've been debating back and forth for a good couple of weeks now. Is it going to happen? And I know it's an annoying conversation. I don't blame you. It definitely is. The only reason I'm holding on to it is not because I want it to happen. I think it makes sense. I love Robert Pattinson that much. I want to see him next to David Cornsweet. That's a different argument. The only reason it makes sense in my mind is because of what he says next here. He says, releasing two Batman films simultaneously would be counterproductive. What DC is doing is creating a strategy to ensure these two films don't conflict with each other. Regarding my involvement in the project, there are good intentions for now. They want to do the movie with me, and I want to do it as well. I'm eager to work on the film. We are talking about the story and the tone. He also did mention, though, he has not talked to James Gunn about this movie since he got announced for the project, and that has been a while. That has always been the reason why it makes sense to me. Warner Brothers does not have all the money in the world. They've had some hits and they're getting up there, but they're concerned. Okay. And we're about to see that when we talk about the Super Bowl and Superman ad here in the next subject. But I just don't think, although I'd be fine and so happy with two different Batman movies at the same time, going and seeing them, understanding they're in different universes, risking that and trying to put that out there to the general audience and maybe oversaturating Batman where, we like the Robert Pattinson one. I don't know if I want to see the DCU one. Does Warner Brothers want to be the one to take that risk and just put a movie out there to flop? Because also, if Batman Part 2 doesn't come out until 2027, well then, Brave and the Bold, can that come out a year before or a year after? I think you do at least a 2-year gap between those movies, and this ain't coming out in this year, 2025, so next logical step would be to have it released in 2029. Would people want that, And so, although Andy Muschietti is probably right with what he heard last time, that it's Robert Pattinson's not the DCU Batman, and everyone's like, see, he confirmed it. Andy Muschietti ain't in charge of the DCU. Andy Muschietti is not the one making decisions, and he hasn't talked to James Gunn since he got the job. I don't know if I can 1,000% believe his word in there. And we also have to remember, there are two people running DC. That is Peter Safran and James Gunn. I bet you James Gunn wants to do the separate universe thing because he respects Matt Reeves and he wants to do the fantastical Batman over here. But Peter Safran is the money guy. He's there with James Gunn to let him know, we can't risk that. We can't do that. And I need you to talk to Matt Reeves about combining it. So again, I know we hate this conversation. I know it's annoying, and we're probably going to still have this conversation until the Batman Part 2 or Superman releases. But it is interesting to hear that even Andy Muschietti is aware that like it's counterproductive. It's a bad idea to release two Batman films at the same time. And they're trying to figure out a strategy to make it work. Dude, you know what would be crazy? Because again, we saw that Matt Reeves interview earlier in the week, and you guys were really great when I talked about that, where you were like, it sounds like Matt just wants to finish his movies and then he'll just give up Batman and be like, you guys continue on. You could have my Batman. I told the stories I wanted to and go on from there. Maybe. Um, It'd be so crazy if like this turned into a show. They like, okay, we'll have Batman here, but we'll still do Brave and the Bold in the show form. Or like Matt Reeves only does the second Batman movie, and when it's time to direct Batman Part 3, Andy Muschietti gets that. There's so many ways, and it's sounding crazy. But dude, I need to know what they're doing. There's someone is thinking, someone is strategizing. I don't know what the best answer is. Again, this is not a conversation about whether it makes sense or it's believable to have Robert Pattinson in a world with kaijus and Green Lanterns. I agree with you. That's a very far stretch from what we saw. But talking business wise, what do we do? What's the step? What's the move? You guys let me know. So that's what Andy Muschietti talked about there.